The new AVI mod just dropped and it has a lot of lore behind it, but fair warning, it is very dark. The mod is very similar to the original Mouse, aka Mouse AVI, but the backstory is a little bit different. In this particular story, Mickey is working hard in order to make a good life for himself and his wife Minnie. Minnie started to get worried about Mickey because he was working himself ragged, so she questioned him about it, and it seems that this set him off. Mickey ended up slapping Minnie because he felt like she didn't appreciate the sacrifices he was making for him, and this caused Minnie to run away. To Mickey's credit, he does realize that he's made a mistake by attacking her, and he tries to find her in order to apologize, but Minnie is long gone by that point. Mickey stayed up all night waiting for his wife to come home, but eventually he falls asleep alone in his home. What Mickey didn't know is that his slap really angered Minnie to the point where she goes and makes a deal with the devil. She basically asks the devil to make Mickey suffer in isolation forever. We don't know what she gives up for this deal, but it had to be something big because when Mickey wakes up, we see that Minnie's wish has come true. Mickey immediately notices that his surroundings are silent. He doesn't hear any animals or cars outside. And when he runs outside to actually check it out, he notices that the streets are completely empty and the sky was sad and gray. As Mickey walked down the street, he realized that he was seeing the same building every few minutes. And that's when he understood that he was walking in an endless loop. Minnie's curse had truly worked. He walked in this loop for 3 months until he ran into a blue-haired boy, which we know of course is Boyfriend. And it's actually really lucky that Boyfriend came along because Mickey was just about at the point where he was considering taking his own life to get away from his isolation. The next character in this mod is one of my favorite creepy versions of Mickey, and this character is called Adam Ricky, or aka Mr. Smiles. Originally, this guy was just a regular dude that works as a dentist. He always had a pleasant smile on his face, which is why people called him Mr. Smiles originally. But beneath that smile lived a crazy serial killer. And the crazy part about this guy is that he would literally tie people up and rip their entire jaw out of their mouth. He would usually try to only target bad people, kind of like the serial killer Dexter. And he would never go after anybody under the age of 17 because even though he is a creep, he actually does truly like children and putting a smile on their faces. Put down in the comments the word safe if you're in the safe age range, and put a skull if you're 18 plus. Now in the next part of the story, he finds a woman named Celeste, and even though he doesn't love like a normal person, he does develop a soft spot for this woman. Which is a big deal because before her, the only thing he really ever cared about was an old Mickey Mouse doll that he was carrying around with him everywhere, even as an adult. And even though he is a serial killer, he still ends up falling in love with this woman and getting her to marry him. For the first year or so, he tried not to kill anybody so that he wouldn't cause Celeste any pain or ruin their marriage. But soon, the urges became too powerful and he had to kill somebody. He found some guy out on the street and brought him back to his basement and tied him to a chair and proceeded to rip his jaw out. But all the moaning and groaning was loud enough to wake up Celeste. And when she came downstairs to see what was happening, she was immediately disgusted and terrified of Adam. Thinking fast, she ran upstairs and grabbed their gun and came back and shot Adam in the chest. But unfortunately for her, that wasn't enough to actually stop him. And he chased her upstairs with a knife and eventually put her down. As he laid there next to his wife, his body started to grow cold due to all the blood loss. But instead of dying, his body actually started to take a new but familiar form. It seems that his love for Mickey Mouse turned him into this giant rat-type creature, but it was mixed with the teeth and the jawbones that he had extracted from all his victims over the years. And this is why when we see these pictures of Mr. Smiles, he has teeth coming out of different parts of his body, like his eyes and his ears. Next in the mod, we have Hunter Goofy, and his backstory is short but sad. One day, Donald and Goofy decided to go on a hunting trip, and during this time, Donald and Goofy get separated. Goofy is spacing out a bit and didn't realize that Donald is actually gone. And then Goofy hears something moving around in the bushes. Thinking that Donald is still by his side, Goofy whips around and shoots into the bushes. And he actually ends up shooting Donald. After realizing what he did, Goofy has a mental breakdown, and instead of taking responsibility for his actions, he blames everybody else for Donald's death. And to make matters worse, Goofy decides to get revenge for Donald by going out and killing innocent people. Again, showing that he has had a complete mental breakdown. Next in the mod, we see a character called Walt, and while he looks like Mickey, he is something completely different altogether. And we can tell this by looking at his true form artwork, where we see he has pitch black eyes, a tail, and it seems like he's dripping ink. Now while he looks kinda evil, he actually isn't. He's a part of a group of characters that are being overworked by Walt Disney to the point where it's basically torture. and it seems like the only reason Walt is doing this is simply for his own entertainment. This version of Mickey has had enough of the mistreatment, which is why he's just standing still in the actual mod. He's basically refusing to do any work or act until Walt Disney actually stops disrespecting him and the other cartoon characters. The next character we see in the mod is called Relapse Mouse, and he's actually from a creepypasta game that goes by the same name. This version of Mickey became depressed when his friend Daisy actually takes herself out. Her death basically makes him go insane. And for whatever reason, he goes and finds a shotgun and starts targeting pretty much anybody that he can see, even his own friends, which confuses me. The last piece of lore I want to cover in this mod is actually the Malfunction song, and this is the one where we see the black cube that's battling against Boyfriend. Now, if I wouldn't have spoken to the developer, I would have had no idea about the lore for this one, so shout out to Haki for actually speaking with me. But basically, this cube is Mickey. Apparently, Mickey fell into a hole that basically took him to a different universe where the world is basically pixelated. And it seems like he was in there for so long that he slowly started turning into this pixelated creature that eventually just turned into one big cube. Now, apparently, Boyfriend is just wandering around like he normally does, and he ends up finding the same hole, and of course he jumps in because it's Boyfriend. Now, when Mickey realizes that Boyfriend is in this universe, he just assumes that Boyfriend is the reason that he is in so much pain, the reason that he is this pixelated monster now. So Mickey goes after Boyfriend. And the developer made sure to tell me that this is why the song is so hard. Mickey basically believes that this is all Boyfriend's fault, so he's trying super hard to kill him, aka this is why the song is ridiculous. Now, apparently in the upcoming version of this mod, we're supposed to get a few more characters. Some of the ones that I'm most excited for is Ethereal Snake Mickey. Some of you may recognize this version of Mickey from this particular YouTuber.
There's nothing left for me back home. War is the only thing that holds me together. It's all I know. We're soldiers. We don't question. We act.
But Mickey!
Don't but Mickey me. Hand over the file.
Good soldiers don't always follow orders.
Good soldiers do always follow orders.
To give you the quick rundown, basically this is like a human version of Mickey, and it's him and Goofy in the Vietnam War, and he actually ends up taking Goofy out because Goofy finds some evidence that will basically end the war and allow them to go home early. But in this universe, Mickey has basically lost everything that mattered to him at home, so he doesn't really want the war to end. So while Goofy has a wife and a child to go home to, Mickey doesn't really have anything. So when he has to decide between allowing the war to continue or killing his best friend, he decides to kill Goofy. There's actually like a whole series on Ethereal Snake's channel, so make sure to go check it out because it's actually really good, surprisingly so. The last upcoming character that I think is worth mentioning is going to be Photo Negative Mickey, and he was the main antagonist of a game called Five Nights at Treasure Island. And as the name suggests, the game is very similar to like Five Nights at Freddy, with the idea being that you need to flip through cameras and conserve energy, and if not, you know, some animatronic will basically jump out at you. I remember watching YouTubers like Poise play it, but I'm pretty sure Markiplier, maybe Corey Kenshin played it as well, so some of you may remember this game from back in the day. But with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this video on the screen here, subscribe to Daily Current Member of the Orseofkorse, and we'll see you tomorrow with another video. Peace, peace.